in our syllabus. So in the previous class, we discussed about the president and other things. Today we'll discuss, hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will discuss today powers and functions of President of India, right? So as you know, the President of India is head of the state. And this system of government of India is a cabinet form of government. The Indian president is therefore of Britain. So all executive powers are constitutionally vested in him, although those are actually exercised and executed by the cabinet. So in India, the powers of the union government are treated as the powers of the president, because these powers are used in his name only in pursuance of the constitutional stipulation under Article 53, which reads as the executive power of the union shall be vested in the president and shall be exercised by him either directly or through the officers subordinate to him in accordance with the constitution, right? So the different constitutional powers and functions of the president of India are classified into 6 principal types, but there are 8 to 9. So one by one, these are executive powers, legislative powers, judicial power, power to promulgate ordinances, financial power, emergency power, military power, and pardoning power. So these are the different powers enjoyed by the President of India. But he is simply a rubber stamp. He has to execute his power through the cabinet only. So let us discuss one by one the executive powers or the executive functions. So the president is the head of the union executive. Consequently, all executive powers are exercised in his name. The executive power of the union to be exercised by the president is extended to the matters with respect to which Parliament has power to make laws and to conclude treaty and agreement. So as an executive head or head of the state, the president appoints so many people, like governor of states, judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts, the Auditor General of India, members of the Finance Commission, Election Commission, Union Public Service Commission. So he can appoint all these people. And he also appoints the Prime Minister and the ministers. So the President of India appoints the Prime Minister, and with his advice, with the advice of the Prime Minister, he appoints the ministers of the Council of Ministers. But here too, in all other appointments, the president can seldom use his discretion. He is ordinarily duty bound to summon the leader of the political party, which secures an absolute majority in the Lok Sabha and becomes the Prime Minister and forms his ministry, means Council of Ministers. So now legislative power. So legislative power, president is the part of parliament. The union legislature or parliament consists of the president and two houses of parliament, right? Lower house and upper house. So the president is therefore an integral part of the union legislature. He shall summon from time to time, either separately or jointly, House of Parliament. The president can prorogue the houses of either House of Parliament and, if necessary, can dissolve the Chamber of Parliament, the Lok Sabha. So, just for example, the president solved the 12th Lok Sabha in early 99 when the confidence motion in favor of Vajpayee government was lost in Lok Sabha. So this is the legislative power. And here, the President of India nominates a number of members in both houses. So the main purpose of nomination is to ensure adequate representation in Parliament of all sections of population, which may not always be achieved through the elections. So the people from art and culture, the people from sports and other areas. So you might remember Sachin Tendulkar, and there are so many people who has been nominated. And regarding the power in respect of bills in the parliament. So the president has certain functions in respect of passing a bill. So a bill passed by both the houses of parliament requires his assent in order to become an act. Right? So this is the power in respect of bill. And the bill passed by the state legislature. So when a bill is passed by the state legislature may also be reserved for the consideration of the president by the governor of that state. So the president enjoys this right in relation to a bill passed by a state legislature only in such cases where those are referred to him by the government of state under Article 200. Now, powers to promulgate ordinances. So, except when the parliament is in session, the president may promulgate such ordinances as the circumstances appear to him to require. Such ordinances can have the same force and effect of an act of parliament. So when the parliament is not in session, in such case, he can promulgate ordinances. And such an ordinance shall cease to operate unless passed by both the houses. Okay, within the stipulated time, that is the 6 months. So once he promulgates ordinances, that is to be passed in the next session of the parliament. Now, financial power. He has financial power also. So the President of India also exercises financial power. So no bill can be introduced in the parliament without the recommendation of the President. According to the Constitution of India, the annual financial statement is placed by the President before both the houses of Parliament. And this statement shows the estimates of revenue and expenditure of the central government for the next year. Right? So this is a financial power. Then comes emergency power of the President. So the Constitution of India empowers the President to proclaim three kinds of emergency. These are number one, national emergency. Number two, emergency for failure of constitutional machinery in state. Article 356, under this Article 356, he can impose president rule in any of the state. And then financial emergency. So, national emergency. So, in the year 1976, on the recommendation of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, national emergency was imposed in our country. And you might have heard several times about the emergency for failure of constitutional machinery in the state. So under Article 356, he can declare emergency in the state and impose the presidential rule, right? And then financial emergency. So regarding this financial emergency, the President of India can issue a proclamation of financial if he is satisfied that the financial stability of India is threatened. So this type of emergency may continue to remain in force for an indefinite period. So the central government may give direction to the states for canons of the financial propriety. So all money bills passed by the state legislature are also to be reserved for the consideration of the President. Okay, now some other different types of powers are like diplomatic power. So all international treaties and agreements are negotiated and concluded on behalf of the President only. So however, in practice, such negotiations are usually carried out by the Prime Minister, right? But it must be concluded on behalf of the President. So usually the Prime Minister along with his cabinet ministers, especially the foreign minister, you might remember Sushma Swaraj several times. But when Narendra Modi took over, he is himself dealing all such things. So all these treaties are subject to the approval of the Parliament. The President represents India in the international forums and affairs where such a function is chiefly ceremonial. So the President may also send and receive diplomats, the officers from the foreign service. And here, you always remember that the President of India is the first citizen of the country. Now, military powers. So the President of India is the supreme commander of Indian forces. The President can declare war or conclude peace on the advice of the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So all important treaties and contracts are made in the President's name. He also appoints the Chief of the Service branches of the Armed Forces. So this is the military power. Now the judicial power. So the President of India grants pardon, reprieves or remissions of punishment to any person who has been convicted by the court of law. So as per the Article 72 of the Indian Constitution, the President is empowered with the powers to grant pardon in the different situations. These are: number one, punishment is for an offense against union law. And second situation is punishment is by a military court. And he can pardon even if a person has been sentenced to death. So sentence is that of death. So these are the three situations. So decisions involving pardoning and other rights by the President are independent of the opinion of the Prime Minister or the Lok Sabha. So here there is no role of the Council of Ministers, even the Prime Minister. So in most cases, however, the President exercises his executive powers on the advice of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. But here it is the exclusive power of the President of India. So okay. So these are the different powers of the President of India. Now you see, we will see the President's Secretariat. So in supersession of all previous notifications issued on the subject, so here we can see with respect to the rank and residence of the persons which have been approved by the President is published for the general information, President Secretariat. So it includes the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, governors of the respective states, former presidents, Deputy Prime Minister, Chief Justice of India, Speaker of Lok Sabha, Cabinet Ministers, and even the judges of the Supreme Court. So this is all about the Secretariat of the President, right? Now, the key points of the legislative power of the President of India, right? So because that is very important. So these are the President conducts its 3 sessions each year. So the 3 sessions of Parliament is conducted every year. So it is the President of India who summons Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and provokes them. He has the power to dissolve the Lok Sabha. The President of India asks the ruling party to prove the majority. He can pass order for re-election. After the general election, the President of India gives his welcome speech. He can also address the first session of every year. The President of India nominates 2 Anglo-Indians in Lok Sabha. And then he has the power to nominate 12 seats in Rajya Sabha for the person who belongs to art, science, and literature. So the prior recommendation of the President of India is necessary for the money bill and state recognition bill. And he has the power to pass the ordinance. Every bill passed by the Parliament comes to take the assent of the President of India, and he has changes in the bill passed by the Parliament. So the appointments. So regarding appointments, he appoints Prime Minister of India, and on the advice of the Prime Minister, he also appoints the Council of Ministers. Attorney General of India is appointed by the President. He also appoints CAG, Comptroller, Auditor General. The Chief Election Commissioner and all other election commissioners are appointed by the President of India. He appoints UPSC members. He appoints Finance Commission members. And every governor of the state is appointed by the President. And regarding the financial power, the President of India represents the union budget of the cabinet. He can introduce a union budget with the help of another person also. He has the access to the contingency fund of India. And he can use the contingency fund in the situation of emergency. And the President of India appoints Finance Commission every 5 years, which helps the central and state government to decide the percentage of revenue between. And military power. The President of India is the Supreme Commander of the Defense Forces of India. It had the power to deploy troops in any part of the country to ensure law and order. But he is required to exercise his supreme power only under the law. So the President may take action to declare war or peace, but the Parliament has exclusive power to regulate or control the exercise of such powers by the President. Usually the war is declared in the name of president, not in the name of prime minister. So the power relating to foreign and diplomatic affairs is exercised by the union government, right? But all the diplomatic businesses is conducted in the name of president. Now, just because the president is the supreme commander, he can declare war as he is the supreme commander of the Indian forces, and he also concludes a treaty related to any situation of war. Now, there are some key points in the military powers of the President of India. So just note it that the President of India is known as the Supreme Commander of the military. He appoints the Chief of Army, Indian Navy, and Indian Air Force. So all the chiefs of these forces are appointed by the President only. The President can declare war on another country, and he can also take the action to stop the war. Now, in terms of diplomatic powers, he receives ambassadors, high commissioners, and diplomatic envoys from foreign nations. And he also, from India side, he represents India in international conferences. And he has the power of appointing Indian ambassadors to other countries. So in this diplomatic power, all the bilateral and multilateral treaties are entered by the president. But all these treaties must be approved with a local legislature elected by the parliament. Now, there are some discretionary powers of President of India. So the principal role of President's discretionary power is to prevent a parliamentary government from becoming parliament anarchy. So the discretionary power has been given to the President under Article 343 of the Constitution. So these discretionary powers are like appointment of new Prime Minister. So suppose in case of the death of the Prime Minister during the period of his office, the President's role are in the numerous situations. These are a hung Lok Sabha with no clear majority. So he can apply his discretionary power to appoint the Prime Minister. When there is a loss of majority as a result of defections in Parliament, he will appoint the new Prime Minister. In case of claims of competing claims of party for their ability to form government. So in such case, it is the President who invites on his discretion to any particular political party to form the government. So this kind of situation was in the year 1979 and 1990 also. The President of India has the power to dissolve the lower house or look for the alternative when the Prime Minister or any other minister lost no confidence motion. So the President of India can dissolve the lower house as the President of India dissolved in the year 1989. This was the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government. Powers to dismiss the minister. So the president has the power to dismiss the minister. Ministers, if the Council of Ministers loses the House confidence and the minister is refusing to resign, in such case he can straightway dismiss the minister. Now, you see some of the powers, judicial power. Once again, the Chief Justice of India is appointed by the President of India. The President appoints the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court with the consultation of the Chief Justice of India. And then the President of India can take advice of the Supreme Court in any case. It is not compulsory for the President of India to implement the advice taken by the Supreme Court. So he can take advice of the Supreme Court, but it is upon him to implement or not to implement. It is not compulsory to accept the advice of the Supreme Court. So it is the power of the President to grant pardon, reprieve, etc. Now, there is a veto power of the President. So after passing the bill from both the houses of the Parliament, the bill comes for the assent of the President. Now it is his choice to pass or reject the bill. So this is called veto power of the President. So when we talk about the functions of the President, so appointments and declaration of war. These are the two main functions of the President. But the Constitution of India also gave limitation on the executive power of the President. He has limitation on the power due to the Council of Ministers. No bill can be passed without the assent of the President, but if both the houses of Parliament again pass that bill, the President is bound to give assent for the bill. So, let us conclude. In Indian Constitution, the President is a nominal head, and all the core powers are vested with the Council of Ministers and the Prime Minister. He is supposed to be the head, but he cannot do alone anything. There are many powers, numerous powers which has been given to the President, but in reality, these all powers are enjoyed by the subordinate to the will of the ruling party. The independent decision-making power is hard to see in the working of the President. That's why it is said that President's role is simply as a rubber stamp. So all the decisions are taken by the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers. Finally, he is bound to accept the advice of the Council of Ministers. Right? So only 67 are there. Huh? Download attendance list. Downloading. One file downloaded. So, Harshvardhan, are you there? Hello? Today, our Harshvardhan is absent. Naman? Naman? Ritik? Roland Kandula? Rohan? भाई कौन है? Am I audible or not?
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
students. So, okay,
Yes,
Yes, sir, you are audible.
so regarding your quiz, so in the previous class, Swadhan has requested to arrange quiz on, it was scheduled today, but you might be aware that our BIT Misra is the coordinator for the celebration of Amrit Mahotsav. Amrit Mahotsav of Independence. है ना? So it will start today and from 22nd to 28th, and in between these 6 days, no quizzes can be conducted. So we will arrange our quiz. The quiz will be conducted only after 28th of this month. So be prepared for a quiz just after 28th. Means 28th is Monday. First is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So next Thursday we will have our quiz. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next Thursday. And in between, just to compensate our classes we have lost, we have missed, we can arrange some quizzes other than the scheduled time. Okay. So, okay then. It is already 11:48. So we can end our meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.